You're welcome to class, guys. So here we'll be needing our French curve, ruler, pencil, and tape measure, and also your measurement. Here is my measurement book, but I'll be writing out the measurements we'll be needing for us. Okay, so the measurements we will be needing, first the shoulder. My shoulder is 16. Secondly, we'll be needing the bust circumference, which is 36. And then our waist measurement, which is 28, followed by top length, which is 24, and then we will need the hip measurement, which is 40. So now let's get on to drafting. And I need you to pay real good attention because you have a lot to learn in this class. And then first we'll draw out our starting line by the upper part of the pattern paper. I'll be leaving a space of ½ inch just to add shoulder, ½ inch to join the shoulder together. So that's why I'm leaving a bit of space and then drawing a starting line. And then the other edge, should know it is on fold. I'm not putting it on fold on this tutorial to manage pattern paper, but when you are cutting on your fabric, make sure it is on fold. Okay, so we'll be measuring out shoulder here. Our shoulder is 16 inches divided by 2, that is 8 inches. But I'll add ½ inch allowance, which means I measured 8.5 inches. ½ inch allowance to join on the sleeve by the time we cut it. So like that, it goes back to 8 inches, which is 16. So you come down a bit and measure it again as shown, and then you connect the lines. So after that, we'll be drafting the basic neckline. Our basic neckline is 3 inches width and 3 inches depth. Just mark it. And then the curved part of your French curve, just move it up and make sure both lines are touching the curve, and then you mark it out. Just like that. Make sure none of it is going back inward. Okay, so now the shoulder slant. From the starting line, you go down by 1 inch for the shoulder slant, then connect it to where the neckline is stopping. That 3 inches measured earlier, you connect it. That is our shoulder slant. Like we all know, the shoulder is not straight. Okay, now for the armhole, we have measurements, calculations to do to get the armhole. So to get the armhole, we need the bust measurement divided by 6 and then plus 1.5 inches. Now our bust is 36, which means 36 divided by 6 and then plus 1.5 inches. 36 divided by 6 is 6 plus 1.5. Okay, do not confuse this. Let me put this in brackets so you know that you have to solve that first before adding the 1.5. So that's 6 plus 1.5, which is 7.5 inches for the armhole depth. Now let's go back to the pattern. After the 1 inch slant we made earlier, just place your tape measure right after that 1 inch and then measure the 7.5 inches. As we can see, my line wasn't even up to that, so we extend it to that point. And then on that point, we draw out a horizontal line to indicate the chest line or the end of the armhole line. And then we measure the 7.5 inch we measured for the armhole depth. You get half of it, the center. So you can just fold your tape, get the center. And on that line, on that mark, we go inwards by ½ inch. That is to remove this gaping because we have the bust in front. If you leave it like that, it gapes. Okay, so you place your French curve on it, and then you connect the shoulder to the ½ inch and then to the armhole chest line. Okay, just like so. Now we input the whole body measurement. We are done with the neckline and then the armhole. We'll place our tape measure back on that starting line and then measure the bust point, which is 10 inches. Sorry, I forgot to mention that. And then my waist is 15 inches. You could call that your half length as well. And then top length is 24. That is almost at the end of the pattern paper. Okay, now we draw out the lines just so it doesn't confuse and then we know where to input the lines. Now that line is our bust line and this other one is our waistline, and then the top length or hip line, because that's where we input the hip measurements. Okay, so we do not forget, let me label this. Let's label this. This is the bust line. That's where we measure the breast point up to get the bust line, and then the waistline, and then the hip line or the top length. Like vertically from the starting point down, we measure the top length, but horizontally we measure the hip circumference. So now we input the measurement for the breast distance. The breast distance we will use it is 7 inches, and then we divide 7 inches by 2 to give us 3.5 inches. Then we measure from the center front. I'm sorry my camera is not capturing that place, but just place your tape measure right on the edge and the place has to be on fold, and then measure 3.5 inches depending on your breast distance, and then connect the whole line stopping around the bust line. Okay, so on the waistline, that's where we'll be taking the dart, and then we'll be taking half-inch darts both on the front, on the left and on the right. So I just placed my tape and measure half-inch to the left and half-inch to the right. Also, our dart doesn't get to the hip, totally to the hip. It stops somewhere. So now to get where it stops, so we'll put from our top length there, we come upwards by 3 inches. So that is where the dart is to stop. And also from the bust line, we come down by half-inch because the dart doesn't get exactly on the nipple, the breast point. Okay, so we have our darts is just to connect it from that point to the other one, like so. Just connect your lines and then draw the other one towards the top length. So we repeat it on the other side. That's as simple as ABC. Okay, we have our darts. And now we can input our bust and waist measurements and the hip measurements. So our bust is 36, divided by 4 is 9 inches, just indicate that. And also on the waist, our waist is 28, divided by 4 is 7 inches. So we're making it 7 inches, but also if we take out, by the time we take out this dart, that is 1 inch in total. That's half inch to the right and to the left. By the time we take it out, the waistline would have reduced by 1 inch, which means we have to return back the dart to make it complete. So that 1 inch we've removed, we'll add it back. So after the 7 inches, I just added 1 inch extra for the dart allowance. And then the hip, which is 40, we divide it by 4 to have 10 inches. So all we do now is to connect our lines together. Let's connect it together. Okay. That's the waist, the bust line. And then for this one, I like to use the curvy part of the French curve because we are not all straight. So I didn't want to use the straight part. Okay, so depending on the curve, I'll move the French curve a bit down so it doesn't give too much curve, except it is the style you want. Okay, so this is what we have. Yep, we have our neckline, we have our shoulder slant, we have our armhole, we have our bust line. See, let me label that for you. That's our shoulder slant. Do not forget that. And armhole. Also on the shoulder slant, we have to add half-inch allowance to join the shoulder, just up there, and then we can add the sewing allowance too by the time we have to cut. Don't forget the center part is to be unfold. So now let's move to cutting the back pattern. The difference we have between the back and the front pattern are, let me list them. Okay, the differences we have: first is the zipper allowance, because there will be zipper allowance at the back and not in front. Secondly, we have the neck depth. Yeah, the neck width is the same, but the neck depth is quite different. It's not as deep as the front. And then the armhole. Yeah, okay, let me show you on the pattern. Oh, now we go over it again. Almost the same thing with the front block. We draw out our starting line, leaving about half-inch allowance up. And then before we start to draw the shoulder and all, we first of all measure 2 inches. Our zipper allowance, which is 2 inches. We measure it. Yeah, so we measure the 2 inches. We take it down for our zipper allowance. Measure it as many times as you want, as you can, and then you connect the lines using your ruler down, straight line. Yeah, I hope you stay tuned to the end of this video, and please subscribe to my channel to know when I post new videos, because I'll be sharing a secret for you to have like the perfect bodice you can ever have. Okay, now this is our zipper allowance. Okay, now I can go in to start measuring the shoulder right after the zipper allowance. Now remember, I measured 8.5 inches in total for the front. I'll be doing the same thing for the back. Mark it upwards and come a little bit downwards, mark it again, and then you connect a straight line. Yeah, just make sure it's straight. And then come down by 1 inch for the shoulder slant. We are almost repeating the front measurement. And then the neck, basic neckline, the width, which is 3 inches, we'll mark it. Now, one of the differences we have, as we've mentioned, is the neck depth, which means rather than having 3 by 3 as we did for the front, this time around we'll be maintaining the same width, which is 3 inches, and then the depth will be different. Yeah, even if you wanted a width of 4 inches, just make sure you're having the same side at the back. And then for the depth, I'm doing 1.5 inches because the neck depth for the back is not as deep as the one for the front. Just place your French curve and connect the lines up to the zipper allowance, and then draw it through with the straight part of your ruler to the zipper allowance. Yeah, okay, now we measure the same armhole, 7.5. You don't need to calculate it again, we have it already. 7.5, and then you draw out that line. Remember, we went we got the center just like so, and then went in by half inch for the front. But this time around we won't be going in by half inch. You just place your ruler, the cuff part of your ruler, and make sure it is linked to that straight armhole part, like so. See, that's all. We don't need to go in by half inch. Okay, now we'll measure the breast points, which is 9.5. 10 inches, 15 inches for the waist, and then 24 inches for the top length. Again, also note that this is a normal waist dart bodice. Yes, and there is more to come. Just make sure you subscribe to our channel. Yeah, I'll be doing a basic bodice with the bust dart, and trust me, you can never go wrong with the bust dart. It fixes almost everything. Yeah, so in our next class we'll be doing a basic bodice with the bust darts alongside the waist darts, and from there you can try to do anything, because the basic bodice is the basic for anything you want to do, even the busty and the princess dart. So stay tuned and subscribe to my channel. Okay, we've labeled our lines: the bust line, the waistline, then the hip line, the top length. Then input the measurement, which is 9 inches. Also, we have the darts but at the back, so we'll be measuring our breast distance divided by 2, which is 3.5 inches, and then we connect the line like so. Yeah, also the dart length for the back is a bit longer compared to the one at the front. Remember, we go up by 3 inches from the top length. And also this one, for the front we went down by ½ inch after the bust line, but in this case for the back we'll be taking up to that armhole or chest line. You can call it whatever line. Yeah, just make sure you stop in at that line. Okay, so on the waistline I take ½ inch to the left and to the right. Yeah, like we did for the front, and then you connect the line up to where it will stop. Yeah, and then we repeat it on the other side. Yeah, so we have the darts, and then we input the measurement for the waist, which is also 7 inches. And remember, like, we added the dart allowance back, which is 1 inch for the front. We also did the same for the back. Yeah, and then measured our hip measurement divided by 4. So we connect the lines. See, it is almost the same with the front measurement, with the front pattern. Like I said, the difference are just little. So we have a front and a back pattern like so already. So now let me chip in that little secret I was going to expose. Okay, if we leave this zipper allowance just like it is, and then you sew it in, it gives this gaping, this bulging at the back, which is not meant to be. So here is how to take that out. On this chest line that I indicated with a broken line, where the dart stops, just go inwards by ½ inch. Yeah, and then we'll connect it to the 2 inches back to the top, and then also to the bottom. Trust me, this is a lifesaver. Yeah, it takes your work from 0 to 100. And also yeah, so that place will be cut out. Mind you, when you are sewing your zipper allowance, make sure you are still taking out the same 2 inches we measured. Do not think because we removed ½ inch on that place and then you have to probably measure 1.5 inch around that place. No, just take in your 2 inches everywhere the same way you've measured, and then thank me later in the comment section. Trust me. Okay, so we have our pattern here, and in our next class we'll be sewing with this pattern. Thank you.